Christians have a hard time understanding just how someone doesn't believe in their version of God. The irony is they don't seem to have a hard time understanding how someone can worship the Buddha or Allah or many different gods. They just have a hard time understanding how atheists don't believe in their God. They think it has something to do with the fact that we don't like the idea that there is some divine being in the clouds judging our lives and how we live. Though, now that I think about it, if there was some invisible divine being up in the clouds judging me, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it at all. But no, Sister Christian, we don't believe because it's the most ridiculous, absurd, nonsensical crock of shit ever invented by the likes of bipedal hominids. The whole, they just don't want to be judged by God, is retarded. For the obvious reason that unlike Christians, we don't have hypotheticals to justify our behavior. We don't get to do fucked up shit and then say, Jesus will forgive me. Jesus will take away my sins and wash the slate clean. No, when we do something bad, we have to live with the consequences. No Santa Claus to make us feel better. That's probably why so-called atheists are some of the nicest, charitable, caring people I've ever met. And as for me, if there is a God and it turns out the mass delusion of the millennium is correct and Allah is real, I say Allah because, well, fuck you, Christianity. Though, to be fair, fuck Islam as well. It should also be noted that I'm attacking the idea and not the people. The only reason I mention Christianity more is because I live in a Christian society and am thus more knowledgeable. But if Allah was real, God, Buddha, whomever the fuck, I'm not afraid. You want to know why? Because I know I'm a good person. I don't need God to be a good person. And surprise fucking surprise, no one does. You don't need religion to be a good person. And if this hypothetical wants to send me to a hypothetical fairyland detention center for being a good person, then he, she was never a god I wanted to worship in the first place. One of the most asinine things Christians don't seem to understand is that society would be just fine if the Bible didn't exist. They make this argument sometimes that, well, if the Bible wasn't real and neither was God, then I guess I would murder my fucking boss, rape my brother's wife, snort coke out of a transvestite's asshole, leave my wife, and just generally have a good time. And you're like, the fuck? So you're basically telling me the only thing keeping you together is this fucking made up bullshit. And you want to lecture me on morality. Because you see, I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in your God or the Ten Commandments, and the only thing I want to do is be a good person, help people, contribute something positive to the human race. Unlike you, I don't need someone to tell me not to rape, steal, lie, murder, etc., to not do those things. You don't need the reward of heaven and the punishment of hell to be a good person. You don't. You're not a child. You can be nice and help people because it feels good, not to score points with God and avoid hell. The whole idea is disgusting. Morality has nothing to do with God. Morality and notions of right or wrong existed long before the invention of your God. It predates the Bible. As for your argument that morality is some inherent coding programmed into our brains by some benevolent, intelligent designer, that we all have it, and that it comes from God. Everybody knows murder is wrong. Everybody knows stealing is wrong. That's a delusional crock of shit as well. As I've said a fuck trillion times, morality is subjective to the individual, to the culture, and even to the times. Which is why the Bible, written 2,000 years ago, makes no fucking sense in the context of today's society. For example, whatever you're watching this on would be considered magic, witchcraft, etc. Ooh, magic. It's fucking witch. Get her. Him. I don't know. Cannibalism is wrong, right? Morally wrong, right? something that should be inherently installed, right? Gifted from God, right? Nope. They eat people all the time in Papua New Guinea. Of course, they started to get sick from a virus that some have a genetic immunity to, a gene that they found in, I don't fucking know, 10% of the global population, showing that at one time a good portion of us cannibalized each other. There are cultures where they eat their dead as a sign of respect. Not morally wrong to them. Or let's take a kid, and there have been cases of this happening. Let's take a kid and leave him or her in the jungle, where she is raised by monkeys or baboons or wolves, whatever the fuck. You think God will inherently install or teach them morality? Because I can assure you that's wrong. And if you disagree, go ahead and try to eat his last banana and see what happens. Huh, jokes. Because no, they have no understanding of our version of morality. They don't understand that hitting and biting, violence is wrong. They don't know not to masturbate in public, piss in the living room. So I guess morality is not inherent or given by God. For the most part, it is a learned behavior. But even after it's learned, it's not a given. Most Nazis didn't realize the magnitude of what they were doing, or that it was even wrong. And yes, most were Christian, despite Himmler and other connections to the Thule Society, whatever. Speaking of Milgram's experiment, another question. If God told you to kill as many people as possible, as violently and maliciously as possible, would you? Defy God or defy morality? And you wonder why atheists, after all the ignorant atrocities, want to see this delusional distortion of a desert fable abolished. And for the record, I don't care what you believe, what you worship. I may disagree and try and persuade you through a logical analysis of what you interpret as the divine, but I would never try and do something as morally reprehensible as outlaw Christianity or religion in general. Freedom is one of the most sacred aspects of this democratic civilization, even if at times it appears only an illusion. But we are not going to leave you alone until you leave this society alone. Pushing your religion, your agenda onto government and the people of this country is wrong. Non-separation of church and state, for instance, is non-freedom of religion. And unlike me, I do sometimes believe if you had it your way, if people like us did not stand in opposition to your disdainful delusions of grandeur, it would be illegal not to be Christian, which is morally wrong, and you know this. But since when has that stopped you from rewriting, reinterpreting your sense of sacred to fit your current motives and motivations, motives and agendas? Because personally, I don't care what you believe. And don't pretend to be a victimized minority when all the facts point to your vast majority slowly declining, but a vast majority nonetheless. Please list how many atheists there are in Congress, the Senate, the White House, I don't know, the Pentagon. My guess, the list is pretty short or non-existent. But hey, if you want to attack me, please do. Please do. Not physically, though. If you go that route, expect pain. No, if you want to attack me in my videos, please go for it. Give it your best. I can take it and love it better than your Christ or the Easter Bunny. But seriously, I really hope you get what I'm saying. I hope I'm making sense. I get criticized for not being very concise, but feel free to refine this argument further. I'm Henry Sweets. Life's a tragedy. Peace in the Middle East. Fuck me, right?
There is no faith without fear. There is no faith without fear. There is no faith without fear. I feel at home with the more melody game. I feel safe within the words I know you won't take. I feel at home with the more melody game. I feel safe with the words that I know you won't say. I feel at home with the more melody game. I feel safe with the words that I know you won't say. survive.